Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio in high fidelity.
Jimmy Mack is a renowned medical intuitive and spiritual life coach who has taken, completed, and even mastered a variety of healing modalities. After a near-death experience, he was shown and developed a simpler way to create healing and profound changes, now known as My Liquid Fish. He works with clients in person, on the phone, and over Skype worldwide, accessing energetic powers and co-creating changes that you can actually feel. Call in now to reserve your spot on the switchboard. The call-in number is 713-955-0594. Press 1 if you would like to ask Jimmy Mack a question. Enjoy this 1 hour of profound healing.
Hey everybody, it's Jimmy Mack coming to you live out of Florida. Hope everybody's doing great and staying safe and sound. We actually had our first named tropical storm. Not sure why they name them after women always, but Emily blew through here yesterday, and of course we needed rain, so it's all good, and we all survived. And thankfully, it was just a lot of wind and rain. So I love the weathermen; they make me laugh. We go from the drought to the flood, and feeder bans. So hopefully it'll all balance out in the end, and that's all we can do. Hey, reach out at jimmymackhealing.com if we can help you in any other way. And also, if you need to email me, it's info@jimmymackhealing.com. Weekly, we have a TGI Wednesday that goes out to everybody. It's a free everything on it's free. And it's got in there comics and audios and videos and all kinds of helpful things. So if you're new to the show, you definitely want to sign up for that. I like having people on. My mother would say, I love people that make me laugh, people that are funny, people that are happy, people that are transformative, and that's exciting to me. So every week we're going to have somebody different on the show. Last week was Reverend Debbie Dean Spear, Communication with the Dead. She's phenomenal as far as the transmedium goes. You can always look up all the archive shows at jimmymackhealing.com/interview, so know that. Next week, August 8th, always Tuesday at noon, we're going to have a special guest, Elma Meyer, now healing. And she's buddies with today's guest, too. So we're excited to have her on next week. That'll be live. And then the 15th is our special guest, Sarah Thustra. He's internationally known. Does a lot of different fifth-dimensional quantum healing, so that should be interesting. I think I'm going to do the healings while he's sending the power into whoever's on the line or listening. The August 22nd, special guest, Jane Sibbett, one of my crushes from the TV show Friends. If you remember Ross and the TV show and all those folks, his wife was the beautiful blonde Jane Sibbett. And she's done a lot of different exotic healings, and it's now called janeshealinghands.com. So be sure and check us out for that show. That's August 22nd. August 29th is back again, our resident transmedium, Reverend Debbie Dean Spear, and she's all about communication with the dead and your loved ones, and it's phenomenal stuff. When she's tuned in, it's pretty incredible, the stuff that she brings on. I want to thank everybody who's joining us today. My special thanks to Sandy Bittinger for always making us look good, and of course, Reverend Tiffany White Sageone for producing the show. We're thrilled to be on iHeart now as well, the entire channel. Over 15 different folks like us, pretty big channel and growing more every day. So we're glad everybody's here. Feel free to give us a call. You definitely want to push 1 to raise your hand to get a healing and find out more information about today's guest, of course. And today it's Rudy Hunter. He's all about pure energy. He's got MP3s on healing. My favorite thing he has on his website is called the Woo Woo Store. So that's really owning it, folks, when you call it the Woo Woo Store. Tons of free stuff on his site. You've got to check it out. He's like me for decades, been working on animals and people and everything. It's rudyhunter.com, RUDY hunter.com. Hey, Rudy, how are you today?
Thanks for having me. Yep, I can hear you. Thanks
bet.
for having me on.
Awesome. Glad that you're here, friend. And you know our guest for next Tuesday as well, Elma Meyer. I've seen you guys do some videos and things, too, that are really cool.
Yeah, Elma's a dear friend. We arranged to meet and basically go eat like maniacs and then run to the nearest body of water. It's pretty fun.
Man, I like that. Hey, tell folks about what you've been up to lately. You're out of the great state of New York, I know. I mentioned the website as well. What do you love to do? I mean, is it the animals? You do the folks, the people? I mean, what do you have the best, I call it, luck with, and what do you enjoy?
Well, I'm in upstate New York near Woodstock, and I live pretty much in the forest. So I always love to work on animals. A day when I'm working on animals goes by really, really quickly. And as bizarre as it sounds, also when I work with people, I have a sort of a weird client niche. I tell folks that once they've tried everything else, that's a good time to call me. I'm not a first call on anybody's list. So folks who've had multi-decade-long stuff, things like chronic depression and anxiety, and if anyone has a diagnosis that's grim, those are actually, it sounds odd to say they're fun, but we go and dive deep really quickly. So the relief that those folks get is pretty satisfying.
I love that. I tell everybody I trained through Matrix Energetics, and it was Hector Garcia, the chiropractor. He's out of San Diego, and he specializes in cancer, as you know. And I was there with practitioners and Richard Bartlett, and there was several hundred people from all over the world. And he goes, listen, folks, if you got something hanging off your elbow, don't come see me. Get it cut off. So I love that, And my joke to even my clients is, hey, if you break your arm or you break water, don't go to Jimmy's home office. Go to the freaking hospital, right? But, if folks have seen, the same doctor 5 weeks in a row and got different meds and nothing's working, boy, we're their people then. Then it's phone Skype time and let's see what we can do to contribute to you kind of thing. So that's awesome.
Couldn't agree more.
Love it. Tell folks your website and also let them know how to sign up for your newsletter and the woo-woo stuff and the free stuff, because you're like me. You're out there giving it away, and you got some great programs and downloads they need to know about. So how do they get a hold of you and sign up for your newsletter?
Oh, thanks, Jimmy. The two main sites are rudyhunter.com, and then the other one is huntershealingcalls.com. And there are sign-up forms on both sites. So once you get into the information loop, along with the vast amounts of freebie stuff that's available, that's visible, I do monthly healing calls, and I also do special events when the mood strikes me. And sometimes it's manic. Sometimes the mood strikes me a lot. So frequently there'll be a stretch of time when there are announced events that are free and free replays. I just encourage folks to go poke around and see what speaks to them. There's stuff for every species. So there's stuff for people, there's stuff for the friends of people, and then there's lots of stuff for animals as well. The problem is, your donkey or your dog has trouble with the keyboard, so you have to get the stuff for the animals.
I gotta have their human counterparts at least reach out to you. No, that's great.
Exactly.
Hey, we'll take a live caller and go from there and see how it works out. 519, you're our first caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Minnesota. What's your name, honey?
My name is Callie, and I'm from Canada.
Callie.
I'm a big fan of Rudy.
Hi, Callie.
Love the package I picked up yesterday, my friend, with the throat and the pelvic, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, loving it.
Thank you.
What I'm calling about today, Rudy, is my personal thermostat of my body is the opposite what it should be. I'm freezing during the day. My fingers, even if it's 90 above, are purple and blue. And then at night, my body is too warm to sleep.
Yep. So that's annoying, right?
Darn right it is. Gotcha.
So you gave me the perfect entree for the important disclaimer that I have to say first, and then we're going to energetically do some work. So bear with me. I'm not a doctor. I have lots of friends who are doctors who are lovely human beings. I'm the first one to tell folks that working with a competent medical provider, whether that's doctor, chiro, acupuncturist, or what have you, is part of getting better, because we actually, as a team, we all want you to get better. So you find good people to work with and you lean into their advice. And then the work that I do never interferes with that, but it is an adjunct, so it adds to it. And then the other important thing I want folks to know who are listening, because I know everyone in the queue is drumming their fingers going, okay, Callie sounds very nice, she's a lovely human being, but hurry up and get to me. So I know everyone is doing that. So don't be misled by the fact that we're working just on Callie's issue, because we're not. You can, when you're listening to this live as we are now, and in the replay, because I'm going to do some special woo-woo so that it stays active, you can lean into this work and work on any temperature-related issue, even if it's not the same as Callie's. So lean into every round and participate in the home game as if you are part of what we're doing here live. Okay, I think I said everything I need. Oh, one other thing. Don't do it while you're driving or operating heavy machinery, because sometimes this makes you very dopey, and that's a good thing, but not when you're behind the wheel of a car. So, Callie, the big classic temperature home is the thyroid, and my guess is you've probably already poked around with altering your thyroid metabolism. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And to no avail, also correct, right?
Correct.
Right. Hence the maddening part of this. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do some energy work that has to do, it centers in the thyroid, but it's a much bigger piece. So I'll say this now because I'll probably forget when we've done the energy work. What I'd like you to do is, with supervision, re-tinker with the thyroid after we've done this piece, and I'd like you to test out just the same stuff you've already done, because chances are it will work much, much better. We're going to work on the outside of you and the inside of you, and that's for everybody who's listening. There's a very large difference between what happens outside our skin, meaning the rest of the world and the universe, and inside our skin. And if those pressures are different, then much of our temperature is different as well. And you don't have to pretend to understand that. I barely pretend to understand that. We're just going to do the work. So here's what's going to happen. Callie, you're going to put your attention in your thyroid, and those of us playing the home game, the thyroid's at the base of the neck. You're going to rest your attention. I'm sorry. What?
I said the butterfly in the base of your neck.
That's it. And it is a butterfly. It's beautiful when it's working well. But when it's sleeping or sluggish, it's arr. So you'll put your attention there, and you'll hear me do some unusual mumbling, and that's all you have to do. If your mind wanders, so be it. But if you've noticed that it wanders, just bring it back to the base of the neck. We'll go probably for just about a minute or so. You'll hear me doing some chunnering, and then we'll be done.
Welcome.
Awesome. Rest your attention there, and we'll be back to you in about a minute. Here we go. bring your attention back, just take a moment, this is for you and for everybody else, to notice anything that may or may not be different. And I'm not attached to whether you notice a change now, but if you notice something, I would like to hear it. So, Kelly,
well, the first thing I did, the first thing I noticed as you were starting, all of a sudden my body relaxed and I came into alignment. It's like my body relaxed, but yet it came into, there again, a nice spinal alignment. I'm sort of sitting on a chair, nice and straight, and I could actually almost hear a thump within the vein, sort of the back of the neck, right?
Great.
And just a nice little thump, thump, thump. It's almost like your heartbeat would be in retrospect, right? But it was just my breath. I just sort of started breathing again.
Good.
My breath was relaxed, and it seemed almost like I could actually pull a nice deep breath in and just relax. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest something that's extremely helpful.
Go ahead.
First of all, for the rest of the day when you've done this, because this call will be up on replay, in this day, I'd like you to pretty much ignore any temperature fluctuations that happen, because sometimes in the course of this 24 hours following when we do this, there's some weird ups and downs. All of that is okay. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just a moment of basically a recalibration. And then the other thing I almost never, ironically, recommend anybody else's work.
Okay.
It's not because I'm a swine, but because my feeling is if I haven't experienced their work personally, I should shut up. But also, if I recommend somebody's work, I open the door to an avalanche of other possibilities. However, I'm going to point you in the direction of a Googleable thing because thyroid issues tend to take time to recalibrate. There is a fantastic imagery exercise that is unlike most imagery where you have to, pitch a tent, go to sleep, spend 20 hours. This is about a 2-minute thing, which is about my attention span. It's from the work of Dr. Jerry Epstein. It's Epstein.
Right.
And it's called Imagery Exercise to Help Make Thyroid Function Normal. Red and blue is the tag on it. So you can just Google Jerry Epstein thyroid. It'll pop right up. And it is remarkably effective. I recommend this to folks all the time with temperature fluctuations, and it's helpful.
Oh, you're a prince. You always are. I appreciate you so much. And I just put another friend on to you yesterday, and she said, "Who's that lovely man I listened to yesterday?"
Oh my God, I'm blushing. Okay, enough.
Oh,
Thank you.
well, that's it. You're a good guy, and thanks for putting me in touch with Jimmy. I didn't know about Jimmy till you sent your emails out, and so welcome to my world, Jimmy. And,
thank you. Yeah. Thanks for allowing us to be a part of it. That's great. Yeah. Anything we can do to help you, we will. Like Rudy said, I mean, we're not doctors. We don't even play them on TV. One of my besties is an attorney, and he always says, "Jimmy, you better tell these people you're talking to angels flying UFOs." So that way, if they say, "Well, who told you that?" Well, who told him that? Angels flying UFOs. So there you go. But anyway, yeah, those are great pointers for you. Those are outstanding pieces. It's always about thyroid. 70% of disease is thyroid. I would also look heavy into the sea kelp as well. That test's really strong for you. And there's another obscure mineral you want to look into. It's called indium, INDIUM. It's on the elemental chart. It's number, I think, 49 or 50 on the elemental chart, kind of like copper, boron, zinc. Indium would go a long way in you. And you drive up the price all the time, but it's mainly on Amazon. So for 90 days, it might be $50 or so. That would really, really help you. That's something that has been around for 20-plus years, and most people are deficient in that mineral. So it can only help you. And, of course, I can't emphasize did, that anyone who hears the sound of our voices or hears this replay that has those temperature fluctuations or even issues with their thyroid that don't involve temperature, found to create a change for them as well. Okay?
You're both a gift. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate it. 540 is our next caller. Hi, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
How are you? Hi, it's Betsy from Virginia.
Hi, how are you today? You have a question for Rudy?
I do. Jimmy, I called you a couple weeks ago about losing my youngest is 5 today, and I'm still carrying around all the baggage she left with me. And I've been following your suggestions about cutting out white and processed foods, but it's still not really budging. And there was a traumatic event right around the time right before I got pregnant with her. So I'm wondering if the weight is not a protection thing, and I was wondering if there was something that Rudy could do to help me unlock that and get that weight off.
You betcha. Trauma.
Awesome.
My cup of tea. But the gods of tech momentarily cut out your name so I couldn't hear it. Tell me your name again.
Oh, I'm Betsy.
Betsy. Hi, Betsy.
Yes.
So here's what's important. I work with folks and animals with trauma all the time. I actually love this territory. My own past is littered with it, so I know it from both sides. I'd like you to spare, mostly, you and I could talk about this privately, but mostly I want you to spare the listeners from hallucinating a story more than they have to.
Yeah.
So before you got pregnant, there was a trauma, yes?
Yes.
Here's a nice, intimate, personal question, but you don't have to give us any details. Was the trauma connected with actually getting pregnant?
Yes, it was.
Okay. So that's what I need to know. See, the human mind is a lovely, 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 horrible, horrible, horrible thing. So we've all hallucinated our own story anyway, regardless of the facts. That's enough for us to you and I energetically know at that moment of the trauma. Let me ask you one more question.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. When I work with folks who suffer accidents, let's take something that's out of that territory. Work with folks who suffer an accident. One of my favorite clients who I worked with, we did all kinds of trauma relief work and got some progress, but the strange linchpin that got us from horrifying after effects of trauma down to absolute zero was, in her instance, it was a particular smell. It's the smell of rubber melting, which is an obscure kind of smell. Mm-hmm. In trauma, especially connected to life, sex, reproduction, you name it, there are scents, there are tastes, there are certainly images, there are in most traumas, there are sounds. Without giving us the story, is there one, when you think about it now, I'll only have you think about it for a short period of time, I promise. When you think about it now, is there one of the sensory organs that lights up for you? Is there a particular smell, particular taste, particular action, particular sound that comes to mind? And there doesn't have to be.
It's more of a visual.
Great. I'm not going to ask you what that visual is, but I am going to ask you to lock that visual in a slightly different way than you have it locked mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And before we start this, I'm presuming we're probably at a 10 on a 10-point scale, are we? Are we 8, 9, or 10? Yeah, we're up there. Okay, up there is good enough. So I want you to take that visual that is coded in your brain in a particular way, and I'm going to ask you to change it for me. And folks who are playing along while I'm talking to you have figured out that they can get benefit from this as well by focusing on a particular trauma they have from their history, and they can follow along with the directions I'm going to give you. I want you to freeze the image so it is non-moving, so it's not a movie. It's an image like a billboard, but I want you to shrink the billboard down so it's very small.
Okay.
You with me? And I'd like you to change it from, if it happens to be a color image, I want you to change it to black and white.
Okay.
All right. Where in your visual field do you see that? Do you see the small billboard 3 inches from your nose, 1.5 miles down the road, to the left, to the right? How far away?
It's kind of like to the right, and it's pretty far away.
Pretty far away, meaning baseball field far away, or
arm's length? Yeah, I'd say it's probably more like a baseball field.
Great. Here's what I'm going to have you do, and I'll tell you it's going to be challenging, but you only have to do it for 30 seconds or so.
Okay.
You don't have to start yet, but I'll give you all the instructions, and then we'll start. What I'm going to have you do is when I tell you to, you can keep it a baseball field away. That's a pretty nice distance. You're going to push it a tiny bit further away, but you're going to move it in your visual field from over on the right to over on the left. But you don't have to do that yet. It is crucial that it's black and white, not moving, and that the content doesn't change. All right? This is a way to get your brain, your nervous system, and your energetic field all lined up. So when I tell you to, I will do some more different wacky mumbling. Welcome to wackymumbling.com.
I love it.
And all you'll do is you'll shift it over to the left, you'll push it a little further away, and you'll rest your attention on it. It will want to scooch back to the right, but don't let it.
Okay? Sounds good.
All right, Betsy. Ready?
I'm ready.
Shift it over there. Here we go. Okay, you can bring your attention back. You can let go of anything you were doing mentally. Take a breath for me. So I noticed you were holding your breath through most of that. Yay! So take a breath so you don't pass out. And then tell me what you notice that's different, if you notice anything.
Well, I noticed that when I was doing that it was really hard to hold on to the image. It looked like it was more of a blob.
Good.
And it just kind of, I forgot what was actually on there.
Beautiful. You pass with flying colors. Here's what I want you to do. I will warn you, I do test my work, though, because we've left the world of namby-pamby. It's not just, I'm not just going to wave my hands at you or mumble something in your direction and hope it gets better. I want to know that by the time we're done, you are better.
Right.
So I want you to rethink about the image briefly and tell me, are we still at a 10 or 8, 9, 10? Are we still up there on the scale?
No, it's definitely lower. It's probably maybe a 4 or 5.
So here's my rhetorical question. Do you want to spend an entire 30 more seconds and knock this thing down?
Absolutely.
So do I.
Take it out.
All right. Yay, that's the spirit. So you know exactly what to do. Even if it turns into a blob, you're going to take that blob, move it over to the left-hand side of the field, push it a little further away, and keep it there. You ready?
Yes.
Here we go. Here we go. Okay, let go of anything you were doing.
Okay.
Take another breath. You notice that breath is easier. I can actually feel that breath is easier.
Yeah, that is definitely, it was even harder to, it just looked like more of a blank space. I could sense that it was there, but it was not really as visible.
Right.
Awesome.
Where are we on the scale?
I'd say probably as low as a 1, or even, I don't want to really say it's 0 yet, but I mean, it's definitely not.
1 works for me. 10 to a 1, that's pretty damn good. I'm going to give you a delicious piece of homework that feels nothing like homework.
I'm all about that.
Yeah, me too. I hate homework. So when you're washing the dishes, driving in your car, running an errand, in the bathroom, making dinner, whatever, in normal daily life, so it doesn't take up any extra time, I'm going to have you repeat an idea, and I'll give you the building blocks of the idea. It doesn't have to be exactly these words, but I'm going to say something to you that has never been said to you about this event. Now, I'll pre-warn you, people get spooked by the idea that they're going to think of this every day, and if they think about it too much, it'll come back. My goal is not to have you dwell on the event. My goal is to have that the rest of what's left, the one that's there, drain out by itself with the power of one idea. And you can change the words. And if you do it fairly frequently, or at least for a few days, you'll notice that you'll probably get bored and forget about it, which means you're done.
Awesome.
You ready for the life-changing idea?
I am.
And it'll be on the recording in case you ever need it.
Okay.
Quote, Rudy says, I'm forgiven.
Oh, I love that.
Because you are. And it's not because I say it. It's just because it's the truth of that experience. Everybody
wow.
who hears this call knows it. You actually know it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to get to. So we all of us, give you permission to be forgiven. It's just the truth of who you are.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Awesome.
So yay, we knocked one down.
Yay!
Love it.
Yay. Thanks, Becky.
Yes, it has been a pleasure. And Rudy, I've followed you a lot, probably as long as I've followed Jimmy Mack. So it's been a pleasure to speak with you.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks for calling in, love. We're thrilled you can knock that out, and for free, and from a master healer, it's a dream, So that's really great.
Wonderful. Yes, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you so much. Keep us posted, love.
Thanks.
You bet. Hey, Rudy, tell them again halfway through the show here how to get a hold of you and to sign up for the newsletter and the woo-woo stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Two main sites, rudyhunter.com and also huntershealingcalls.com. And on both of those sites, there are lots of sign-up forms that put you in the information loop with me. So on both sites, there's lots of freebie stuff for yourself, your friends, God forbid your brother-in-law who won't get off the couch, and also for your animal friends. And if you stay in the information loop, basically there are many stretches during the year where I offer free calls and group events because, it needs to get done, so we do them.
I agree wholeheartedly. You're like me on that. You give it away for free. Find something you love. 515 is our next caller. Hi, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello, 515. You're on live.
Oh, hey, I'm here.
Awesome.
Hey, Rudy. Hey, Jimmy.
Hi.
Iowa.
Iowa. What's your name? You have a question
Mary.
for Rudy?
Yeah,
Mary,
I do.
you got a question for Rudy? Awesome.
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
We sure can.
I resonate with Callie's issue with the thermostat. I wanted to ask, would it work the same for me when mine is not thyroid? It's from having had a heat stroke.
It would. And let me just ask, is it Isla? Did I hear your name correctly?
Yes, Iowa.
Isla, great. Yeah, I just want to ask you about your feet. How do your feet run? Are they hot and sweaty? Are they cold and freezing? Do they change?
No, the feet feet are no issue. It's just getting overheated.
And where do you get overheated most? Is it in the head, the neck, the back? Where?
Well, it's basically getting short of breath. I don't feel heat so much as being unable to breathe, just trying to catch my breath and having to actually, once it's 80 degrees, actually having to just be a hermit and be indoors and furtively go out after dark and do little things.
Gotcha.
Because I end up getting overheated in some way where I have to lay down. I don't feel hot at the time, but then if I am out too long, then I have to go and lay down somewhere cool and dark and be still.
Okay. I want to do a process with you that has to do with literally with ventilation. There's all kinds of technical causes for what you're describing, and there are emotional cofactors, and sometimes there's just plain old mechanical stuff that gets jammed up. So we're going to tackle a bunch of those, doing a process that deals with what are technically called, for those of you playing the geek version of the home game, the intercostal muscles. Those are the teeny tiny muscles between the ribs, and there are a series of energetic portals in there that tend to get jammed up. So before we do this process, any meds you're taking to regulate what's been going on, great, all in favor of it. Any supplemental stuff you're taking, also in favor of it, as long as it's helping you. Personally, and I'm not suggesting this, but personally for myself in the summer, I have a history of a nasty breathing problem that is totally resolved thanks to energy work. But in the summertime, when it gets hot and stuffy and gross, that's the technical description, I take a very low dose homeopathic remedy called Nat Sulf, NATSULPH. And that's very helpful for summer heat. And it may be helpful and maybe not, but that's what I do. And
Where do you find it, Rudy? At a health food store?
Yeah, in the health food store. And I usually take a very, very low potency. I usually take a 6X or a 6C, and I take it a few times a day.
Okay, Natsul 6X or 6C. Okay.
Yeah, it helps with the blanket summer ickiness. But, we should ask Jimmy, because he lives in the heart of summer in Florida, which I love to go to Florida every other time of the year, but summer I can't imagine.
Yeah, it's the swamp. It's the swamp. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
Some people have winter and winter coming. We have summer and summers coming and hurricane parties. The other thing I would suggest to you too, love, is since you're out of Iowa, you can find a really good massage therapist, but it tests better for you to get a chiropractor. You don't have psoas out, but you do have your diaphragm is out too.
Yeah.
So that makes it weird. And that's just what they're whispering in my ear.
I go to a chiropractor for this, and he does work on it, yes, and is always doing lung work every month and doing, because it gets so tight, like the bellows won't work. I can't get the breathing going. I'm breathing really shallow,
But I'm going to tell you it's diaphragm, and he's going to, if you'd ask him to clear your diaphragm, they do a weird little movement. They stand down by your feet, and they stroke down at your sternum, and they pull down while you're breathing in and out, and they let go of that, and that would go a long way to help you. Because when Rudy brought up some valid points, it could be environmental, mental, physical, spiritual, mechanical. It shows up hugely mechanical too. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, I've got a chiropractic appointment tomorrow, so hot damn.
Yay. Perfect.
Yay.
Yeah. Mention hiatal hernia to them. It's not one you'd have an operation on. It's just kind of jammed up. It's like you got a balloon up in your sternum, and if he pulls towards your feet and it does that little release that they know how to do, hopefully he knows how to do it. My girl here locally sure does, and a lot of folks do, then you're going to experience a tremendous amount of relief along with what Rudy's recommending, okay?
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome. So, thanks for calling us up.
Let me do one other little piece. I couldn't agree more about the diaphragm. So we're going to open up the intercostal muscles to make, basically we're making your chiropractor's job easier tomorrow. Here's what I want you to do. I'd like you to put your attention gently on that feeling of can't breathe properly, just lightly, and give me about 20 seconds. Here we go. Okay, you can relax your attention. Take an unforced and unhurried natural breath or two for me. And just tell me what your experience is if you notice anything.
That the bellows capacity is coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. See?
It's actually up and down rather than just breathing in my throat.
Right. That makes you a good fixer-upper. So good luck at the Cairo tomorrow.
Yes. Thank you so much, Rudy. I love you and Elma. I always think of you as the dynamic duo. And now I know there you are gorging on food, and then we get to see the high video where you're outside and we're all being spiritual by the sea. But you've just been a piglet. So now I'm going to laugh when I see you and Elma looking so esoteric and evolved.
Perfect.
I love you, Rudy.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for calling in. Love you. Good luck with the 360 is our next caller. Hi, what's your name? Where are you calling from? You have a question for Rudy?
Hi, this is Carol. Can you hear me?
Hi, Carol.
Yes, Carol.
Hey,
where are you calling from?
Excited. I'm calling from Washington State, just west of Seattle. Take a little ferry to get to where I live.
Nice.
And my question for Rudy, or my issue, is I've been going through a lot of changes recently, and lately I've been waking up in the morning with a lot of fear. And I have worked with Rudy in the past. He's incredible. I also know Richard and Hector, who you were talking about earlier. But I am the worst at working on myself.
Okay.
And I also have an adrenal issue, and I think it's related to the fear thing.
Okay. So I want you to tell us, first of all, what time do you normally wake up in the morning?
My schedule is off, so right now I'm waking up about 8:30 or 9 in the morning,
Okay.
but I don't get to sleep till about 1.
Okay. And when you say waking up in fear, some people wake up in fear and realize they've peed the bed. Can I say that on Blog Talk? I guess I can.
Just did.
Yeah, exactly right. And some people wake up clenching their fists and curling their toes. Some people wake up screaming. Those are fun folks. Those are fun folks to date, by the way. So what does your morning fear look like?
I wake up and I'm afraid, let me think. So basically lately I've been waking up with fear around money and finances. Like this is, excuse me, the first time I'm kind of doing life by myself. So my husband passed away a couple years ago.
Oh,
and
so
I think it's, thank you. I think it's a fear of feeling unsupported.
Yep. Okay. So guess where we're going, sweetheart?
Somewhere fun.
We are going right back to the place that you would do anything to want to avoid. And I promise it won't be painful.
Okay.
How long ago did your husband die?
2.5 years ago.
Okay. Were you with him?
Mm-hmm. I was with him when he passed.
And I know it's an odd question. How was that, aside from sad?
Besides from sad, it was really, he had been ill, but we weren't expecting him to go that day. We thought we had a few more weeks. So it was surprising, and it was kind of surreal because we weren't, I don't think you're ever ready for it, but we weren't really ready for it. But it was also beautiful and incredible because he woke up super early, like at 5 in the morning, and I happened to wake up at the exact same time. So I happened to be with him awake when he was passing.
So do you see the connection to the morning that you just stated for everyone who's playing our home game?
I do now.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I just ask better questions. That's really most of what I do. So mornings are filled with loss, and when we get surprised, even by something we know is coming, I have a terrible term for it, but I've used it for so long. I call it being shanghaied. My apologies to people in Shanghai. There's a feeling of being blindsided and caught off guard. That's very much in the same category as your current feeling of feeling unsupported. Because it's literally like we get knocked off balance or tipped off balance.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Thank you.
Right. So I'm going to tell you the beautiful thing that your whole nervous system is actually doing or trying to do, and then we're going to go drain the ickiness out of it. The beautiful thing that your whole nervous system is trying to do is express the grief you feel for the loss of your husband, which is sad, and the fact that there was this surprise or being taken off guard element. Your body's trying to actually express it for the purpose of it leaving. So I'll tell you an important secret, and you'll probably need to listen to the replay because much of what I'm saying will take a little while to sink in because you're very, very close to it. One of the big lies the mind tells us is that if we stop grieving or let go of our grief, we somehow lose connection with the person we're grieving. That's the feeling we have. And it's a lie because the opposite is actually true. Sometimes it's hard to hear, but the opposite is that when we begin to let go of the grief itself, that actually draws hubby closer. You to him, him to you. The connection actually strengthens because the grief is interfering. Now that I told you for the monkey mind, and now we're going to go let it go. So take a breath for me. I want you to put your attention on, especially that morning, when even though it was surprising, it was time. I'm going to go silent for just about a minute or so. You can let your mind do whatever it wants to do. If it starts thinking about groceries and ducks and ice cream, just maneuver it back to that morning. I know it's hard to revisit that morning, but I promise it'll lighten up by the time we're done.
Okay.
And we're only going to go for about a minute or so, okay? So big breath. Put your attention on that morning. See him, see yourself there. We'll get the energy work started for you right now.
And for those of you that are on hold, we're just doing a prayer and a healing right now, and we'll be back on here shortly. Stay with us. We're also asking for those of you that need this, it's going to you as well.
Okay, Karen, bring your attention back. You can let go of any images or focus. Take a breath for me. You survived it, that much I know, but I want to hear what you noticed.
Well, pretty much instantly. When I first went in, of course, tears, but then pretty much instantly relief and love. I felt love for him, appreciation, and then calmness. Yeah, where it was a 10 before, where I could hardly breathe. When we first started, I'm probably about a 3 right now.
Beautiful.
It feels like a blessing.
Good. It is actually, I mean, you're perfectly tuned in there. It's actually, even as we speak, it's continuing to drop and drop and drop. I'm going to give you one of these pieces of homework that is simple, deceptively simple, and it's coated in honey and maple syrup and good stuff. So this one is really lovely to do. and it's a way of honoring him as well. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
The idea I'd like you to just play around with now and again, or for a few days or a few times, however you want to do it, just inside yourself. I would like you to proclaim for you, and it's fun to do out loud if no one's home. I mean, if somebody's home, you sound like you've completely gone around the twist. But if no one's home, saying this out loud really slowly, you will actually feel the webbing that grief leaves. You'll actually feel it lift. And the idea is, and I want you to say it this way, I love that I miss you so much. Would you say it with me, no one?
Say that again.
Sure. I love that I miss you so much.
Okay. Excuse me. I love when I miss you so much.
Now, I'm going to ask you to do that again, because it's only you and I and several thousand people on the phone, so they're not so, you know, it's just a
no
small...
pressure, I get it.
Right. And what I love is that you are so just trying to hold this all together. I love that about you. I can hear it, and everybody else can hear it, because we try and do the same thing all the time, too, about the people we've missed and lost. So say it even slower with me. I love that I miss you so much.
Okay. I love that I miss you so much.
Because that's the truth, isn't it?
I love that I miss you so much. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for calling in, love. Wow. That was powerful stuff, and for anybody else that's missing a loved one as well. Incredible. Thank you. Awesome stuff. Thanks, Rudy. 928 will be our final caller. Hi, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hear me, Jimmy?
Yes, hi. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Sharon Dorr, and first of all, thank you to my favorite people. Jimmy, I got the biopsy yesterday, absolutely no trace of cancer cells in there, and you have no idea how wonderful it is to walk through the house, look at my computer screen, and not have floaters in my eyes.
Oh, wow. That's great stuff. Your results may vary, folks, but there we go. That's good stuff of us playing in the field together.
And Mr. Hunter, the two of you together, my favorite people, and he even mentioned my other one, Mr. Epstein. But, Mr. Hunter, I shared your grief replay calls with several of my people, but the very afternoon, I get a frantic call from one of my clients who has an alcohol problem, and she says, my grandpa's in the hospital, and they're going to take him to hospice, and I'm drinking again, help. And I'm thinking, okay, I hear the voice in my head say, heal the grief in advance. Heal the grief in advance. I don't know how to do that, but I guess we can try. So I said, well, okay, then let's just do something. You trust me for it? And so the best I knew how from I just listened to you, said, let's just pretend this is the last time you're ever going to see him, and you tell him you love him, and we're going to let the grief flow. And I tried to mitigate everything in the background to make it simpler. And I said, then you're going to be free of the fear, and you can come back and enjoy the time you have without being afraid that it's the last time you'll see him. And she said, okay, we'll do it. And, of course, then we worked on him, too, and his lungs. And the next day I got this absolutely awesome email. She says, oh, my goodness, I spent all afternoon with him. And she says, and I poured the rest of the bottle down the drain. And she said he was a different man. And so isn't that amazing?
That is amazing. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Now, I do have an issue I can ask both of you guys about for myself, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Okay, I'll try to do it as fast as possible. I have this 20 pounds that all my life and my whole family has fought and fought and fought. And yesterday morning, my friend says, Sharon, you're not visible. You just simply aren't visible to yourself. You're not visible. And I realize that she's saying it, and I understand there's a connection. I really do, but I don't get it. So you guys got any help? How, after 50 years of fighting the same God blessed 20 pounds, I can't get rid of it? And it's a family thing. My daughter's got 150 to lose. My cousin's got that much. Help.
Sure. So, Sharon, let me ask you, when your friend says you're not visible, does that ring 100% true for you or not?
Yes, it does. You said, ask me when I got certified. You said, is your business visible? No, my business isn't visible. Well, she tested yesterday. She says, your business is visible now. But she says, you're not visible. And she says, you never have been. And I'm saying, yeah, because even as a little girl, the only safe place was on my horse on the far out trails where nobody could see me to get away from people. So she's right. It does ring a bell. I just don't know where to go with it.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to give you a process, and you, I don't know if you've noticed this, but you're not the only one who struggles with this.
I kind of figured that.
Yeah, let's invite Rudy on as a guest so he can state the blindingly obvious.
Yeah, she says, Sharon, you're not seeing it. She says, you don't love yourself and you don't accept yourself. You're not visible to yourself, and you got to hide. And I'm saying, I get it. I'm test is true, but it's like you're speaking Greek.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the problems with our mind. I mean, our mind does amazing stuff. You know, it balances our checkbook, it does planning, it does, good stuff. And then there's a very large disconnect for most of us between the mental conception or understanding of it and then what to do about it. I want to work on a slim, pun intended, piece of this, which is hiding. We hide from ourselves, we hide from our loved ones, we hide from bills, we hide from our job, we hide in cubicles, and that changes depending on who we are in our life, what we're doing. And there's a dance between hiding and being available and being vulnerable. And the idea of being vulnerable for most of us is excruciating. So here's what I'm going to do. Wherever that 20 pounds is you want to lose, I want you to put your hand on it. You don't have to tell us where it is, but just rest your hand on it. And those of you playing the home game can do the same thing. So suddenly we have thousands of people grabbing their belly and their bum, which amuses me to no end. So put your hand on it, and I'm going to do a piece that has to do with this dance between pulling away and hiding in ourselves and its opposite, which is coming out into the world with our gifts and talents. And we're going to completely exclude the mind because the mind can't help us anyway. It lies to us and says it can, but it truly can't. So you'll hear me do a little bit of muttering. Keep your attention where your hand is. I'll be right back to you. Here we go. Okay, bring your attention back. You can let go of where you were touching. Sharon, I want you to take an easy breath for me and tell me what you noticed, if anything. And again, you don't have to have noticed anything.
I'm not real good at noticing. I can do a sway test or a flex test.
No, that's okay. It's totally fine to not notice. One of the things that's really, 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 really useful is to find a plan that works for you. And I'll be the first one to tell everyone that eating plans are, there's a gazillion of them, and they don't work for everybody in the same way. So you might have to experiment.
I honestly, truly live on 500 calories a day in and day out, and I know that don't sound possible, but I gain at 900 and have ever since I was 18. You have no idea how many cans of green beans and celery I eat.
Sure. I'm not suggesting that you throw yourself full force into a diet, because diets are pretty awful. having been on only 9 or 10,000 myself. What I'm suggesting is that you poke around and look at what might be a solution and give this a little bit of time to sink in. Part of what is the difference between hiding and coming into the world is, you said it yourself actually, it's a safety issue. So we can be as talented as hell and still want to hide because we feel threatened. What I'm going to suggest to you is take advantage of the replay here. I know it's a short round we did, but if you'll use it intermittently, like every couple of days for maybe a week, you'll find that it will chip away at the underlying lockdown that's at play. And you'll do fine. You really will. Because, quite frankly, you jumped on this call full of piss and vinegar. There, I said another rude thing on Blog Talk. And it will be nice to have you more fully in the world.
Okay. Thank you.
Sharon, thanks so much. Yeah, thanks for calling in, love. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Rudy, thanks for being on the show, Rudy. Give everybody your information before we sign off.
Sure. 2 sites, rudyhunter.com and huntershealingcalls.com. You can poke around. Please do, and send your friends. There's lots of freebies on the site, and you can sign up through those. And I just also wanted to thank Sharon and Carol and Isla and Betsy and Callie for being incredibly brave and calling in and helping everybody who's listening. And Jimmy, thanks for having me. Just a delight.
You bet. Thanks for being on the show. We sure appreciate it. It's all good stuff, and appreciate the freebies, and I love the Woo-Woo store. That's really owning it, so thank you for that as well. Folks, that's all of our show for today. I want to thank everybody. Stay tuned. Info at JimmyMackHealing.com if we can help you in any way, and also JimmyMackHealing.com/interviews. Rudy's going to post this replay, and I will as well. If you got anything else going on similar to what we worked on today, you will notice a difference, I can tell you that. I want to wish you that the rest of your life will be the best of your life, and to remember to make progress every day. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Everybody needs to understand that I'm more than simply a hype man for this rap group, just like Geico is more than just a company that can save you money. Geico also has fast and friendly claim service, so they can help you when you need it most. And while I do love being a hype man, I also love reading for children's audiobooks. Like Little Bo Peep, she lost the sheep, and she don't know where to find them. Yo!
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.